Hello everybody, we're here in Jim's kitchen, me and fantastic Tommy Jones. We've done a couple of songs today and I would just say thanks very much Tommy for having me and Dots on at the original music showcase.
Yeah.
We're going to love that idea. Where did that come from?
Well, thanks for playing. It was really good. I really enjoyed the songs. Some of them were very funny as well. But the idea for it was, I'd been looking for a bit of space in my calendar to kind of curate something myself and put on something I was interested in putting on as well, which didn't involve me necessarily performing the whole time as well. And create a space for people to play their own music in all different genres, different backgrounds, and kind of like casual setting, but still a proper gig sort of feel rather than an open mic with that sort of structure to it.
Yeah, it was that bridging that gap between going to a sort of professional gig and an open mic night. It really did. I loved it. I really did. Yeah. But I've seen you in various guises, as solo act, in a duo, and with Quaintest Show on Earth. Can you just tell me? I say this to everybody. It's a cliche, but where did it all start for you? Where did you begin with your music?
So I just grew up around a lot of music, basically. My dad was always in bands and duos, and some with his brother, and then his dad and his brother all played as well. And it was just always around me. No one ever pushed it on me, but I was in a very musical family. I was very curious about the instruments, and I was always told if you want to mess with them, you have to learn them. You can't just play around with them and that.
So what did you learn first?
I had to go on bass. I was about 11 years old, and I started learning guitar on the side around that age as well.
Did you learn like I mean I'm not a very good guitar player, but I sort of just I learned guitar for one reason only, because when I first heard Bob Dylan when I was a young teenager, I said I want to do that. So I had to learn some chords. Did you learn chords first, or did you learn tunes? Or?
Well, yeah, on the bass I was learning mainly like classic like rock riffs and stuff like that I'd heard around, and then on guitar it was always like rock and roll for me, like 3 chord sort of stuff and a few scales, just enough to play those hundreds of 50 songs, and so I could just get to being able to whack one out as quick as possible into singing.
Well, that's what makes a difference between there's so many guitarists really, especially in folky, where they learn C, F and G and A minor and D, and they learn them chords, but they don't really get into the music. Like I said, learning the riffs and that, and learning the rock and roll stuff. I think that's a great introduction, and it helps with so many other songs. I heard you do a version of Wichita Lineman a few months ago, and I thought, wow, not only your voice, which is, I'm not just saying this, you have got a fantastic voice, but the playing of that song, it's not an easy song, is it?
No, it's mega tricky, and it's got like all those awkward shapes and transitions, and then you have to sing it over the top as well.
Yeah. No, but it was really great.
Not stuff to start with, I would say.
No, it's not a beginner's song.
Manage Rhinestone, maybe.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, I've been curious about this for ages, is Quaintest Show on Earth. What's that all about?
So I've had that name like a really long time. When I didn't even really know what it was going to be yet, just over 10 years ago really. And I was just looking at like interesting stuff you could put on like almost a festival poster, or like even a pub poster with just that, with no explanation, and people be like, well, what's that? And still to this day I've been places and they've been like, oh, I didn't know, I thought he might be a magician or something like that. And that's kind of what I wanted it
good.
to
well,
be,
it certainly works.
But they often put a little kind of description that, so people people ask like, well, what does it even mean? And it was like, well, just see what you think,
Well, it's more inventive than like the Smiths or something like that. I like the Smiths.
It's just long sometimes, that's the only thing. For some places they're trying to fit it on.
Well,
or for people to remember, if you had one name thing, or the Beatles, you go home and you remember that. That's the only flaw with the title. People will be like, oh, who was that?
I like QSOE as well.
Yeah, the obscurity.
That still, works. Who's it actually in the band besides you?
Well, at the moment, we've got Michael Frost, who's got like an alias called John Caramel, and he's written some of the Quaintest music in the past, like Good Old Days, and he's the piano player, and he used to produce some of the albums as well.
Right.
My dad's the current bassist, which is really nice because I love spending that time with him, playing music with him, and being accompanied. That's just brilliant because he was like a big influence and inspiration to me growing up. You know, when you're a kid and you just see your big dad on the bass, and it's fantastic, like cool. And then Arnold Foster, who's the drummer, and he's like the guy who's been in it like the complete start, even in my like previous bands since college. He's just been the drummer like in my band, whatever I've done. And he went to Japan with me. There's Luke Garrity as well, who's a great artist on his own. So
it is. When you get Quaintest Show on Earth, you don't know what you're getting, or you go out in different guises sometimes.
That's it. Yeah, it's just a kind of like what fits the job sort of thing. It is me a lot of the time. When we've done like distant gigs, it has been just me and AJ. You know, sometimes the drummer doing various things, but.
It's great when you can do that though. And do you when you go out? Do you do your own material, or do you do a mixture of?
Yeah, it just completely depends on the event. I am doing a lot of gigs where I am just playing, you know, some of my favourite songs of other people's. I'm doing some where it's all our own stuff. Often a mix, say like at the Wigan Diggers Festival. You know, Luke sang some traditional songs. And then we did some of my folk songs, and they blend quite well together, you know, sometimes into a set. And I try and say which are mine, so people can take that away as well, if they can't tell.
But it's another thing I've been wanting to ask you, because I've known about this for a long time, but you've actually played in Japan.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So the drummer, AJ, actually met a guy while he was in Japan, pretty much just walking in one of the like outbacks with a guitar on his back, and he hadn't seen someone in a while. And you don't meet that many actual English or Australian people there. It's much more kind of indigenous, I suppose. And this was an Australian guy, and they were talking, and it's like, where have you just come from? He's like, I've just come from this venue, this small area of Nagano called Nazaronson. So he came back and he told me about all this, and we got in touch with them, and they said, do you want to come and do a residency?
That's incredible.
Yeah, we were doing like 4 or 5 gigs a week, and then we were going like Tokyo for some food and drinks on the weekends and stuff. And it was a great time, but it was a great kind of function gigging experience as well, because I was playing to all different tourists and Japanese local people, and really honing in that sort of entertaining, you know, in a space. We did New Year's Eve as well, you know, and then watched the fireworks go off over the snow mountains. And so it was a great thing,
My son Robert, he's one of the other few people I know who's actually been in Japan, but he working in Japan. But he told me he told me a bit about it and how much he enjoyed it. And I was telling him that a friend of mine has actually played there, you know, with music, which is an amazing thing. But so we talked about the Japan scene. I want, because you're young, a lot younger than me. I mean, I come from West Hall and you come from Standish, and we both get involved a little bit. Well, me a little bit, you a lot, in the Wigan scene. Can you tell me a bit about the Wigan music scene?
Yeah, it's really quite vibrant and consistently has stuff on. I'm playing a lot in pubs and bars, and I am getting to put on some of my own stuff as well, which is great. Sometimes theme nights with Quaintest Show, where we're doing like we did like a 50s thing not so long ago, like a rock and roll thing. And the original music, I just think is suffering a little bit with the lack of opportunities for people, but everyone still has the songs, and they are waiting to sing them as well, because as soon as I put it out, I have no trouble filling all of the slots and things like that.
There's a lot of This noise, by the way, it's pouring down. It's absolutely pouring down.
It's a talented town, though.
It is a talented town, because when I was young, it's funny, West Orton is exactly halfway between Bolton and Wigan.
Yeah.
And you sort of pick your town which you're associated with. Now, I went to school in Bolton. I went to Thornley in Bolton, so I sort of was more associated with Bolton. But since I've moved here, and since I've got to know people like you, I've known Ken Scally a long time, and Lawrence Hoy, and Billy Green, and Wayne and Kim, and you know all the different people from Wigan, and I think, wow, there's a lot of talented people in Wigan, and a lot of a broad spectrum of musical styles and
thing, and I think there's loads on for people to go to as well and meet up and just play casually, which is nice.
Well, I think more people want to get out and go to some of these shows. I mean, this original music showcase is one on tonight, isn't there?
Yeah, depending on when this is out.
But it's free.
Yeah.
You've got some fantastic artists on. So, if anybody's out there, you want to go and get
or you want to play, just try and get in touch with me, and that's the thing. People welcome all different abilities and whatever you want to call it. I want variety, every time.
Well, he has different abilities, because he's even had me on. But also, another thing about you which I didn't know, which is intriguing, is you also provide music for film scores.
Yeah, I've done a few films that have gone. They're kind of the ones that go to like the film festival level and sort of. But I did one the other year, and I went to watch it in Odeon Cinema in Manchester.
Wow!
And just hearing it back was like really awesome. But it's all instrumental music, and the last one I did was kind of a dark, eerie, Celtic sounding sort of thing, which I really enjoyed doing.
So did you produce all that up at home?
Did it all in the bedroom, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I learned basic music production years ago, and I have recorded a lot of my own music myself, and other people as well.
So when you did they send you a sort of resume of the film, or do you have to watch the film before you create the music?
They send me like a kind of dodgy unfinished film where you can see all of the sort of blue tack holding it together, and then I just work from that. Sometimes I'll literally have it playing, and I'll just be going like tinkering on a keyboard or playing my guitar and figuring out the mood. And then you get pretty close and you send it to them, and then they send back, not sure about this, or this is great, or more of this is what,
That's
it's like a teacher marking something, really. It's,
but I think, Les and Nicky, doctors who I work with, who are fantastic, they do a thing. They do a thing where it's like a silent film.
Yeah. And
the films are. This is a silent film. There's no dialogue, and they play music.
I did that one time. Right. That same event. Not So Silent Movie Night, I think.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
And I did like weird guitar effects over something. Yeah.
So when you did, you're talking about like a Celtic sound, dark Celtic sound. Yeah. I'm just bringing on to what instruments you play.
Oh right, yeah. Well, a lot of the soundtracking stuff is kind of instrument manipulation as well. So it could be like a ukulele, but it could end up sounding like a mandolin, depending on how you're tracking it and mixing it. But my main ones are, I've always loved playing the bass guitar, and I still do that in other bands and things. Obviously guitar. And I like my main styles are folk and probably rock and roll. In what I've learned to play, I like playing the ukulele as well. I always have done.
See, what I've mentioned before, I mentioned again that you've got a fantastic, unique voice. And my brother Tony, who was the lead singer of the Art Weavers for many, many years, he had a fantastic voice as well. And I think having that is not. You can sort of learn how to play the guitar, you can get to a certain stage and you can progress. Unless you've got that sort of talent, you can't become a superstar on guitar.
Yeah.
But with your voice, to a certain extent, you've either got a good voice or you've not.
Yeah.
You can't buy it. You can't really train it. You can train it a little bit to get better, but you've got a fantastic voice.
Well, thanks very much. I'd rather have like a clear, distinctive voice than like Pavarotti's range, though. Personally.
Yeah.
But because you look at some of the artists who I was inspired by, some of them are great singers,
Yeah.
some of them are like okay singers, but they're so charismatic in the way they kind of deliver every word, you know, or the way they hold an audience as well. There's some cracking players who just can't kind of read a room or hold a room or get a laugh, you know, little things like that.
Yeah.
It's a hard balance, isn't it? To have a full set, because we're all top trumps cards, aren't we? With like something they're good, something they're okay.
Yeah.
But it all comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you learn bits as you go.
Definitely. I mean, how long have you been playing now?
Yeah, 20 odd years. Yeah, I would say it was about 11. I could only really, like you say, belt one out by probably like 13, 14, as in like
still very
proper good. You know, not proper good, but just like, oh, here's one, and I can sing and strum it, and it'd only be a few chords. But I've been trying since I was about 11, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
And I couldn't wait, you know.
Yeah, I started when I was about 16, I think. I got my first bookie for £1 at West Horton Youth Club.
That's good.
And I was singing all these songs that I'd written, and they were all about motorbikes.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why, because I didn't have one.
Springsteen.
I just wanted one. But that's it. I mean, like I said, I'm intrigued with the Wigan music scene. But what things have you got going? Have you got anything coming up in the next few weeks that you're involved in? Anything that you're doing?
Just always so much that it's hard to like even keep track of, really. I'll be playing all around the borough, and you can look that up where I am on which day and stuff.
He posted something on Facebook the other day. He said, I've got a day off today. I'm doing somebody in the afternoon, somebody in the evening, but this is like a day off today. So you're very busy. But you should be very busy, because you're a very talented person, and I'm really pleased that you've come here to my kitchen, and I hope you'll come back again soon.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's been really nice.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.